Hey everybody, it is 5:30 here in Vermont, so it's time to get started. And I'm so glad that you're here, or wherever it is that you are, but that you're tuning in, ready to practice yoga tonight. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda McIntire, and this is the OLLI Beginning Yoga class. And this is an awesome opportunity that continuing and distance education and the OLLI program here at UVM have been putting on for free all summer long. So hopefully you've been sharing the link with your friends. And if you have been, thank you and welcome back. And if you're new to class tonight, I'm really glad that you're trying it out. Very cool. Do the best that you can. This is a beginner class. And really your job is to use your own body wisdom in terms of like, what is going to work best for your body tonight as we go through the practice. You may need extra stretching today, maybe more strength building, maybe more rest or more energy. So do whatever it is that you need to during class tonight to get what you need out of the class. And if that means hanging out in a forward fold a little bit longer or taking Shavasana right now, whatever that looks like is totally fine. Take advantage of this opportunity to do this thing for yourself and in the privacy of wherever it is that you're practicing tonight. So there's 4 more of these classes left, these free YouTube live streams. And then beginning in September, we're going to have classes on Wednesday nights. Registration is open and available. If you go onto the OLLI website right now, we'll be doing online classes and they'll be 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday nights. I think that's starting on September 2nd. So I hope that you can join me for that. But in the meantime, we still have 4 more classes together. So glad that you're here. As I was putting this class together today, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's only 4 more classes left. And I still have so many things to teach. So for those of you who are my regular students, don't worry. I know I haven't done a core class yet. We will be doing a core class before the end of this session, but not tonight. Tonight, I thought that it would be fun to kind of have a different way at looking at this connection with our body and with our mind. So this yoga practice that we do, the word yoga means connection. And the idea is to make this connection between our mind, our body, our spirit, and also the present moment. And we do that through breath work and meditation and this physical yoga practice that we do. And it's awesome to come to a yoga class and do this, just like you're doing right now. And some of you even practice yoga when there's not class going on, or maybe you work on your own sequences at home. And that's really cool too. Good for you. And for some of us, it's like, I want to do those things, but I make it to class, and that's pretty darn good. But doing other stuff off the mat, that's really hard. And that's true. Coming to class is hard too. So don't shortchange yourself. It's a big deal that you're doing this class tonight. But what I wanted to share in class tonight was, what else can we be doing to have this sort of a yoga experience when we're off of our mats and out in our world? So there's these 2 components I talked about, right? The mind and the body. I've got my Kindness Matters shirt on today. And when it comes to the mind, kindness really does matter. And the more kind that we can be to ourselves in our mind and in our spirit, the gentler or the kinder we can be in our bodies. And often vice versa. If we listen to our body, tune into it, and are kind to our physical selves, it has a positive mental impact on us also. So number 1 rule from the mental and spiritual component of yoga is this kindness for yourself. But tonight we're going to talk about the physical component. So I wanted to share this idea of like, how can I have this yoga experience when I am stacking wood or picking up my grandkid or standing in line at the grocery store or dancing at a drive-in concert? How can I have this physical yoga experience without doing mountain pose or laying down in Shavasana in the middle of a grocery store? And the way that we do that is by tuning in and paying attention to our body. And tonight we're going to explore engagement and alignment in the body. And I'm going to give you 3 tips, and we're going to try to find this in as many postures as we can tonight. So in yoga, we always start from the ground up. And the first tip I have for you in engaging and getting connected with your body on the mat and off of the mat is having a solid connection between your feet and the floor and finding engagement in the legs. And tonight we're going to explore engagement in the legs by hugging in at our shins and broadening through the thighs. I'll talk about that in a moment. So we've got the legs. Moving up the body, we'll also talk about the core. So hugging in the lower abdominals, tucking the ribs so that we're nice and strong through the midsection. And then third is the head and shoulder area. So keeping the shoulders gently pressed on the back, keeping the chin tucked in but parallel to the floor so that there's this drawing of energy all the way up from the floor up to the crown of the head, whether you're sitting or standing. So if you didn't write all that down, perfect. I didn't want you to. We're going to go through this plenty tonight. But we'll work on finding this connection with the body that we can take off of our mat to find more peace, happiness, and balance. So let's start by finding a comfortable seat, whatever that might look like for you tonight. And you are welcome to sit the way that I'm sitting with your legs crossed if that is comfortable. But if not, you may want to take an alternative option, which might look like bending the knees with the feet flat, extending the legs straight out, sitting flat on the floor or on a block. Whatever your preference, I'm going to sit with my legs crossed tonight. And make sure that you have your weight evenly distributed between both of your hips. So sometimes it helps to pull the fleshy part away from your sits bones to get nice and even. Place your hands on your knees and thighs and sit up nice and tall. Now there should be a connection between your body and the mat. It might be the bottoms of your feet. It might be the tops of your feet or your pinky toes. So just feel that connection between your body and the floor. So step 1 is starting with the legs when we're looking for some engagement and connection with the body. So wherever your seat is, whether you're cross-legged or the knees are bent, I invite this idea of think about trying to hug in at your shins. So if you're cross-legged, you might be pulling the legs a little closer to the body. If your knees are bent like this, you're hugging your shins more in towards the midline. And as you're doing that, expanding the thighs out. It's subtle when you look at it on the body, but when you're actually doing it in your body, it should feel pretty solid. So shins are in, thighs are out, you're locked in at the legs, nice and strong. We'll move up to the belly, pull in the lower abdominals, and let the ribs tuck. So imagine that you have sometimes we think about like shoelaces right across this part of the body and then pulling them nice and tight, keeping the ribs and the abdominals close to one another. So strong legs, strong core. Notice my core is engaged, my shoulders are starting to come forward. So from here, I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Shoulders come on the back and relax down. Hands are on my knees or thighs and my chin is tucked in. Now, one of the things that naturally happens when we bring the shoulders on the back is that it often lifts the chest and lets the ribs flare. So if you found now that your shoulders are back, you're no longer engaged in the abdominal muscles, see if you can just tuck the ribs in a little bit. It's very subtle. Nice. And if you feel like you're like, I'm not sure where my ribs are, where the lower abs are, feel free to poke around, do some movement to find that connection. That's part of the whole idea here. Okay. Shins in, thighs out, lower belly tucked, ribs are tucked. Chin is tucked in and the shoulders are relaxed down on the back. Nice and strong in your seat. Close your eyes, keeping your chin parallel to the floor. And begin to connect with your breath here. Notice if your body feels different in this seat, in this familiar posture, compared to when you're usually sitting on the floor. Make sure that you're breathing and do your best to maintain this engagement that we have in the legs, the core, and the shoulders. So if you find yourself starting to soften a bit, sit up nice and tall. Shins in, thighs out, shoulders back. Take a few full, deep rounds of breath here as you let go of your day and allow yourself to arrive on the mat. And I invite you to really be kind to yourself tonight in your mind and in your body. We're so lucky to be practicing together tonight, to be physically well enough to be able to do this practice. So do the best you can and give yourself credit even if it feels difficult. Are you still engaged in the legs, in the core? Nice relaxed shoulders. Bring your palms together in prayer position in front of your heart, still sitting up nice and tall. And we'll begin our practice together by chanting the sound of Om. We're going to just chant it one time, and you can do it as softly or as loudly as you would like, staying nice and strong in the body. Take a full exhale. And a deep inhale for Om. Release your hands and gently let your eyes flutter open as you keep sitting up nice, tall, and engaged in this seat. Extend your arms down by your sides with your palms facing straight ahead. As you inhale, let the arms float up above you. Take a look up towards your fingertips, and then just check in with your engagement here. Are the legs still nice and tight? Are you strong in the belly? Are the ribs tucked and the shoulders relaxed? On an exhale, gently twist towards the right. So bring your right hand behind you, left hand to the opposite leg. Inhale to come back to center. Take a look up, reach up. And remember your body wisdom. So if you're looking up and you're like, ooh, that doesn't feel good on my neck, or I'm feeling a little bit queasy, feel free to look straight ahead. You make that choice for yourself. Still strong in the belly, legs and shoulders. Exhale to twist to the left. Inhale to come up to center. We'll do that a couple more times. Exhale and gentle twist to the right. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale to the left. One more time on each side. Inhale, reach up. Are the ribs tucked? Are your legs engaged? Exhale to the right. Inhale, back up to center. And last time, exhale and come on over to the left. Great job. On your next exhale, unwind back to center, bringing your hands together in prayer in front of your heart. And still find this nice engaged seat. So legs are active, core is active, shoulders are active, and press your palms together so that you're getting even more presence and more engagement here. Nice. Notice how strong your arms are when you start pressing your hands together like this. Nice. All right. So we're going to release the hands down to the knees. And then from here, extend your legs straight out in front of you for Dandasana or staff pose. I like to remove the block for this posture. Legs are straight out in front of you, as straight as they can be. If you need a little bend in the knees, by all means, do that. But let's remember these principles that we're walking through tonight. So we're sitting up tall here, right? We've got fingertips on either side of the hips. Feet are flexed. And then starting with the base, so engaging the legs, think about this idea of shins in and thighs out. So legs stay stable, but think about energetically hugging in at the shins while the thighs open up. Whoa. So, and if you want to try using your hands to do that, just to be like, what is this all about? You'll notice when we do this motion and engage the legs like this, great protection for the knees. Nice. And if you're sitting in a chair practicing tonight, feel your feet pressing into the floor, hug it in at the shins there, and broaden the thighs. All right, legs are engaged. Tuck in the lower abdominal muscles. Tuck the ribs in as you engage through the belly. That helps with getting your pelvis tipped inward. And then we're going to sit up tall, bringing the shoulders on the back. Ribs stay nice and tucked in towards the belly. Fingertips on either side of the hips. Nice. All right, gently bring your shoulders up by the ears and relax them down on the back. Fingertips on either side. Engage through the legs, through the belly, up through the shoulders. And again, chin stays parallel to the floor and tucked in. That's going to help us with any tech neck that we're getting from using our phones too much. So make sure you're looking straight ahead. Unless I say look up towards the ceiling, try to keep the chin parallel. Nice. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Keep all this engagement. Take a look up towards the ceiling so you can tip the head back a little bit. All right, engaged in the legs, in the belly, in the shoulders. As you exhale, lead with the chest and hinge forward. Pashimotonasana, or seated forward fold. Hands relax wherever's comfortable. So if you can reach your feet, that's cool. But shins, thighs, the floor is also a really great place to be. And in this posture, check out, are you hugging in at the shins and out at the thighs? Are you strong in the belly? Reach through the fingertips. Inhale to come all the way up. And exhale to release your hands down towards the floor. Nice. Bend your knees and place your feet flat on the mat. Feet are hips distance apart. Knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. And bring your hands behind your thighs, sitting up nice and tall. So for some of you, this might look familiar. We're preparing for boat pose, or Navasana. But we're going to apply some of these principles of engagement here. So nice and strong. We're starting to hug in at the shins as we widen through the thighs. I haven't even tipped back yet, so just prepare yourself before we even go. Tuck the ribs and the low belly. Bring your shoulders on the back so you're sitting up nice and tall and engaged. So much strength. And then gently see if you can tip back, keeping all of that and getting your toes up off of the floor. If you're able to, bring your shins to parallel. Hands are still behind the thighs. And again, check this out. See if you can keep the feet flexed, hug in at the shins while staying broad in the thighs. Now, if your legs want to move when you do that, perfect. That means that you're really getting into it. Keep the legs steady and stable in this motion. Strong in the belly, ribs are tucked in, shoulders are relaxed down on the back. Imagine someone is just gently pressing their fingers right in between your shoulder blades, reminding you to sit up tall. You can keep your hands where they are or extend your fingertips. If you have already released your legs down to the floor, I don't blame you. I'm talking a lot. But hopefully you're breathing wherever you're at, being kind in your mind, giving yourself credit for trying this out. All right, on an exhale, release, crossing the legs, sitting up nice and tall. Bring the soles of your feet together, hands around the ankles or shins, and sit up nice and tall. So, feet can be as close or as far away from the body as you'd like. Engage the legs here. So think about hugging the shins in towards the body while the thighs broaden. Engage your belly. Relax the shoulders down on the back as you sit up nice and tall. A little bit of a back bend here. So bring the chest forward, shoulders back a little bit more, looking up towards the sky. Exhale to come back to center. And then leading with the chest, hinging forward, freeing your hands. You can go as far as makes sense for you. Breathing, staying strong in the legs, the core, and the shoulders. All right, inhale to bring the torso back up. Use your hands to gently guide your knees together. And then come on up to standing at the top of your mat. We're going to find mountain pose. So yeah, we just did a bunch of yoga postures and we're trying to get these principles together. So let's see how this plays out when we're standing up, which is how we do a lot of the activities we enjoy doing and that we sometimes can injure ourselves at. So mountain pose, quintessential yoga posture, quintessential posture for life. I'm going to give you a side view. Feet are hips distance apart and parallel, and you're standing up nice and tall. Feet are pressing into the floor. You hug in at the shins and broaden at the thighs. Now, when you do that, your feet might get really active on the floor, and that is a good thing. In fact, your feet need to get active on the floor in order for you to do this. So shins are in, thighs are out, feet are kind of grippy. Hands are on the hips. Stick the tailbone out, pull the lower abdominals in, tuck the ribs. All right, if you're starting to feel like you're all crunched up, you're headed in the right direction. We'll take care of it, don't worry. So, strong legs, strong core. Bring the shoulders on the back. Tuck the chin in so the ears are just above the shoulders. Release your arms down by your sides. Straighten your legs as best you can, but still, and I'll give you a front view here now, still shins in, thighs out, strong belly, and shoulders are on the back. So release that for a second and just shake it out. So I just want to show you a couple of things that's important for this, because this is like how we do so much stuff. This is how we lift and move things and get up and down. So for some of us, when we're standing up tall and engaged in the legs, some of us kind of end up like this with the hips forward. Now, in order to counteract this, we've got shins in, thighs out, get the belly underneath you. Whoa, and shoulders are on the back. That's kind of cool. For others of us, when we have straight legs and we're in our normal posture, we end up having the tailbone sticking out and the chest coming forward. Again, getting some engagement in the legs, getting the hips under the body so that the core is nice and strong, shoulders are on the back. In both of these postures, whether the tailbone is sticking out or whether it's forward, if you're doing something physical, it's more likely that you're going to end up carrying weight somewhere you don't want to, like your low back or your knees or your shoulders. So this engagement is critical. Find that nice, strong mountain at the top of your mat. Shins in, thighs out, belly tucked, and shoulders down. Inhale and float the fingertips up. Are you still engaged in the legs and in the belly? Are your shoulders relaxed but nestled down on the back? If not, adjust. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Your feet should be gripping into the mat so those legs are super solid. Bend your knees, inhale, reach your arms wide as you come all the way up. And then bring your hands to heart center. Check in with the legs, shins in, thighs out. For those of you who are familiar with putting the block in between the legs, this is a similar idea. Core is nice and strong, shoulders relaxed. Clasp your hands behind your back. If you can't quite clasp the fingers, you can do some sort of alternative, whatever works for you. But with the hands clasped, make sure the legs are active, the core is active, the shoulders are as relaxed as they can be. And then press the knuckles towards the floor as you look up towards the ceiling. A little bit of a back bend here. Bend the knees. Exhale as you hinge at the hips, fold forward, moving the hands away from the body. All right. Release your fingertips down towards the floor. Check in. Make sure that the legs are engaged. So shins are in, thighs are out, belly is tucked. And even in this forward fold posture, shoulders are down away from your ears. Plant your hands and walk your way back to a downward facing dog. Now you might need to drop to your knees first to do that. You do whatever works best for you, but in downward dog, your hands are shoulder width apart, your feet are hips distance apart, and you're pressing into the hands as the hips move up and back. Let's check the alignment of the hands and feet. So on an exhale, glide forward to plank, which is top of a push-up. Shoulders move over your wrists. Your legs are straight and your heels are lifted, so you're up on your toes here, nice and strong. Cool. Keep your hands and feet where they are. Press into the hands and move your hips up and back again to downward dog. Nice. Now, in this downward dog, beginning with the legs, hug in at the shins and broaden through the thighs. Notice that maybe your toes start to grip into the mat a little bit more. Pull in the low belly and tuck the ribs. When you do that, notice what happens with your shoulders. They might be coming up by your ears more. Keep the legs and core nice and strong, and then see if you can create some space in between the shoulders and ears. Maybe it helps to widen your hands on the mat Maybe it helps to press more into the hands to elongate the spine. But this down dog should be nice and solid from the legs all the way up the hips and then down out through the fingertips. Keep your neck in alignment with the spine, and your gaze can be down at the floor or even towards your toes. Exhale, glide forward to plank, top of a push-up once again. Find the same thing here. Shins in, thighs out, core nice and snug. Make sure the shoulders are on the back. And take a look out on the floor ahead of the mat. If you want a little added challenge in your plank, you're welcome to float your right toes up off of the floor a couple of inches. If you're like, I don't need extra challenges in my plank, you are in good company. So just do what works best for you. If your right foot is hovered, lower the right foot and switch sides, lifting the left foot. Remember, you can always deepen this practice. So if you wanted the right leg up longer, you could do that. If you're ready for child's pose, that's okay too. Lower your left toes back down to the mat. Press the hips up and back to downward facing dog. And then walk your feet up towards your hands, coming to a forward fold at the top of your mat. When you find this forward fold, engage the legs once again, hugging the shins in, thighs out, strong in the belly. So this posture here, standing forward fold, is always a great way for us to injure ourselves in our everyday lives off of the mat by picking things up without engagement, right? So picture yourself doing something that you normally do that's not yoga. So maybe it's gardening, moving stuff, whatever your favorite thing is, or maybe not your favorite thing, but something where you would be lifting up and engage in the legs and then engage in the belly. All of this protects the low back. Bring your hands to your hips. Shoulders are on the back, strong and steady. Come on up to standing. It's a great way to lift heavy things, to shovel. All kinds of fun Vermont stuff. So find yourself up at the top of your mat again, and let's find mountain pose. Feet hips distance and parallel. Shins in, thighs out, tall and strong in your mountain. Close your eyes for just a moment here. This energy that you find of engaged in the legs, ribs tucked in, belly tucked in, and shoulders down. You can find this anytime, whether you're sitting, standing, or laying down. And it can change everything, making you more comfortable or more aware. Maintain this engagement as you let your eyes flutter open. Inhale to float the fingertips up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Step your right foot back to a lunge. Nice. In this lunge, front knee is over the front ankle. The back leg is straight. And your hands are connected to either the floor or blocks. And you'll see, like, I should probably have my blocks up here with me, but since my palms don't connect to the floor, I'm up on my fingertips here. All right, make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. If you have to drop to your knees first, that's fine. Otherwise, sweep the leg back. Shoulders are over the wrists. Hugging in at the shins, broadening through the thighs, strong in the belly. Shoulders on the back and chin is tucked in. On an exhale, you can either lower your body down in one straight line, like a reverse push-up, or you can drop the knees, point the toes, and exhale to lower the chest back down. Hands under the shoulders, elbows are tucked in, toes are pointed. All right, so we're about to lift up into Cobra, but first, hug in at the shins, broaden at the thighs, and if you're trying to figure out how to do that, make sure the tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. Shins in, thighs out, belly tucked, so pull in the lower abdominals, tuck the ribs, bring your shoulders on your back, and on an exhale, peel the chest up off the floor. And if you're doing that and you're like, usually when I do Cobra, I go up further than this, that may mean that you're nice and engaged in this Cobra, and it won't allow you to go as far. Exhale to release back down. Tuck your toes, work your way back to downward dog. You can go through plank, you can go through tabletop, but we'll end up in a downward dog. Walk your feet forward, coming to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Again, find that engagement, hugging in at the shins, broadening at the thighs, strong in the belly, shoulders on the back. Gently bend your knees, get your hips underneath you. As you inhale, reach the arms wide, reaching them all the way up overhead. Connect the palms. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Other side. Inhale and reach up. Are the legs engaged? Is your belly strong? Shoulders down. Exhale, swan dive all the way forward. Uttanasana or forward fold. This time, left foot steps back to a lunge. And don't be afraid to scoot your right foot more towards the right side of the mat if that's going to help you with the engagement here. In this lunge, front knee over front ankle, back leg is straight. Again, think about this idea of hugging in at the shins. So at the front shin and at the back shin, in towards the midline, while broadening through the thighs. Belly's nice and strong, shoulders on the back. Step on back to plank, top of a push-up. Make sure you're breathing, being kind to yourself. And then you can either lower in one straight line or drop your knees, point your toes, and come all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet are connected to the mat. Hands are under the shoulders. Once again, hug in at the shins, broaden at the thighs, strong in the belly. Exhale to peel the chest up. Exhale to release back down. Tuck your toes, make your way back to downward dog, either through tabletop or through push-up. And when you find this down dog, once again, hug in at the shins. Now, this hugging in at the shins idea should automatically make your toes a little more grippy on the mat. And as you do that, then see if you can broaden through the thighs a little bit. Tuck in the belly. Relax the shoulders. Walk your way up to the top of your mat, coming to a forward fold. Bend your knees. Inhale, reach your arms wide as you come up. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Nice. All right, so we've done this sitting down. We've done it standing up. Wouldn't this idea work great for balancing postures? I don't know. Yes, of course it would. We're going to try it out. And if it doesn't work better for you tonight, never fear. This is a practice, but the idea is the more engaged we are, the more stable and steady we are. So find that mountain pose. Feet are pressing into the floor, shins in, thighs out, core nice and strong. Feel the feel the left foot and the floor firmly beneath it. Begin to shift your weight onto that left side as you start to free the right foot. And then lower the right foot back down. So maybe that felt steady, or maybe that was like, whoa, Mondays. So let's bring a little bit of attention to it in checking in with all these different body parts. So mountain pose once again. Left foot firmly rooted. Little bit of lightness on the right foot, but let's hug in at the shins and broaden at the thighs. That should lock this left leg in nice and solid. Engage your abdominal muscles, tucking the ribs, bringing the belly in, bring the shoulders on the back. Keeping all of that, see if you can then shift the weight and start to bring the right knee up in front of you. And if the knee doesn't lift in front of you tonight, don't worry about it. If your toes are connected to the floor, not a problem. We're hugging in at the shins, broadening at the thighs, finding this way to connect to the body in a different way. All right, keeping all of that, gently step your right toes back to a high lunge. Nice. And then make some adjustments here to make this solid. So maybe scoot the left foot more towards the edge of the mat. We're aligning the front knee and the front ankle, and the back leg is straight with the back heel lifted. Same kind of idea here. Hug in at the shins. So front shin is going in towards the center. Back shin in towards the center. Thighs are broadening. Core is strong. Shoulders are on the back. And again, imagine that there's just like a couple of fingertips just gently pressing right in between your shoulder blades, reminding you, oh yeah, I need to have the shoulders back. Inhale to float the fingertips up. If you want an added stretch in your right thigh and quad, you can always scoot your right toes back further. And then from here, left hand comes to the right thigh and a little bit of a back bend. And maybe your left hand doesn't quite reach the right thigh. That's okay if it doesn't. We're just trying to get this general idea, reaching for the opposite leg, hugging everything in towards the midline. All right, release that to come back to center. Hands come to your heart. Hands to the hips. Kick off the back foot. Come on up to the top of your mat. Shake it out if that feels good. Take a break or get some water or get yourself ready for the other side. Feet hips distance and parallel. Find this engaged mountain pose once again. Shins in, thighs out, belly strong. Shoulders are on the back. And that final check is, where are my ribs? Maybe they need to be tucked in a little bit. And you'll notice how much stronger you get through your abdominal once the shoulders are on the back, but the ribs are tucked. All right, nice job. This time, awareness comes to the right foot. We're hugging in at the shins, starting to shift the weight, seeing if you can get your left foot off of the mat, maybe even lifting the left knee in front of you. Keep hugging in at the shins, broadening through the thighs. See if that makes you a little more stable or taller. Pull in at the belly, shoulders stay on the back. Gently step the left toes back for a high lunge. And again, scoot a little bit if you want to move your right foot towards the right side of the mat. Back leg is straight. And again, hug in at the shins, broaden at the thighs, and strong in the belly. Bring your shoulders down on your back, still keeping the ribs knitted in. All right, inhale, float your fingertips up overhead. Nice. All right, this time, right hand goes towards the left thigh. Maybe it connects, maybe not. Little bit of a back bend as you look up towards the ceiling. Steady breath, lots of engagement here. Come back to center, bringing your hands to your heart. Kick off the back foot, come on up to the top of your mat and shake it out. All right, nice job. Come on into the middle of your mat and come to a wide-legged stance. And so in a wide-legged stance, we're a little bit wider than the edges of the mat. My feet are at 45-degree angles so that heels are in, toes are out just a little bit. Begin by standing up nice and tall. And keeping the knees and toes in alignment, as you exhale, come on into a squat. And in this squat, we're trying to keep the knees lined up with the ankles pointing in the direction of the toes. So we don't want the knees to go over the ankles as I'm demonstrating on this side, because we're trying to protect them. Now you're standing as tall as you can in this squat. And think about shins in, thighs out. Whoa, gives you a new experience in the hip opener here and really helps with the knees. Core is nice and strong, so belly is tucked in, ribs are tucked in, shoulders on the back. Whoop, check out the ribs, and then bring your arms up to 90-degree angles. Nice work. Steady breath in this goddess pose. And then gently bring the left elbow to the left thigh and reach your right fingertips up overhead. Make sure that you're still broadening through the thighs while the shins hug in. And then other side. Right forearm to right leg. Reach the left arm up overhead. Inhale to come back to goddess pose. And then straighten the legs, straighten the arms. Nice. And take up as much space as you can here. Your body is in the shape of an X. All the same principles. Hug in at the shins, broaden at the thighs. That should engage your glutes and hamstrings. Core is strong, shoulders relaxed. A little bit of a back bend. Come back to center. Hands come to the hips. Heel toe your feet in. And make your way up to the top of your mat. Find that mountain pose once again. Legs, core, shoulders engaged. Inhale and float the fingertips up. Check in with yourself here. So I say this every time because I'm hoping that when you're doing things off of the mat that maybe you check in, especially if your knee starts to hurt or your shoulder. Am I engaged? Excellent. Exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive all the way down. Walk your way back to downward facing dog. And if you want to go to plank first and then down dog, that's not a bad idea to find your alignment. In down dog, your wrists are parallel to the front of the mat. Fingers are spread wide. You're pressing the hips up and back. And once again, hug in at the shins, broaden the thighs and engage the belly. Keep the shoulders on the back. And then using the strength of your inner right thigh, lift the right leg up for three-legged dog. And in three-legged dog, we're trying to keep the hips level here. Still same idea, we're hugging in at the shins, broadening at the thighs. If you do that, hopefully you'll feel a little bit of extra balance and strength. Core is nice and strong, shoulders are on the back. Steady breath. All right, bear with me, here we go. You're gonna try to move your left foot up towards the top of your mat. Little hops are good. If you have to drop the back foot, that's okay. If you have to keep this knee bent, that's okay too. You're gonna wind up towards the top of your mat. Standing on the left leg, right toes are lifted. Left hands are connected to the floor, blocks, or maybe your shin. And this posture is called a standing split. So we're trying to reach the right leg up even higher. So three-legged dog, the hips are level. In this posture, this right leg is lifted up towards the ceiling. All right, bring the right foot down to meet the left. Widen your stance so that you're in a forward fold with feet, hips, distance, and parallel. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend your knees and come on up to standing. All right, nice job. Oh my goodness, what? This is a beginner yoga class. Why are we doing this whole standing split thing? Do the best that you can. And now that you know where we're going, maybe you want to get a block up ahead, maybe have a little footstool, or maybe you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to try out this balancing thing. So your choice. You know where we're going this time, so find yourself at the top of your mat once again. Shins in, thighs out, belly strong, and shoulders back. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Walk yourself back to downward facing dog. You can always start out in plank if you want to, but find a nice solid down dog here. And then once again, hug in at the shins as you broaden through the thighs. Belly tucked. All right, nice and strong. On an inhale, you'll lift the left leg up for three-legged dog on this side. Keep the weight even between all of the points that are connected to the floor here. All right, take a look at your hands. We're going to work on getting the right foot up towards the front of the mat. You can, of course, always drop the back foot if you need to, but you're welcome to try hopping forward. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be pretty. And if you have a block, this could be a nice place for a block, or your hands can come to the floor. Or if you're feeling really kind of balancy tonight and you really want to try an extra challenge, maybe hands can come around the shin. But everyone should be hugging in at both shins and broadening through the thighs. Nice and strong. Gently lower the left foot down next to the right so you're in a forward fold. Bend your knees, inhale, reach the arms wide, come on up. Exhale and hands come to heart center. Nice job. Now whether you tried that out and nailed it, tried it out and fell over, or just decided to watch on that one tonight, excellent. All of those are great choices. So I hope you're being kind to yourself. And we're getting close to getting ready to cool down, so great work. Find your mountain again, top of the mat, nice and tall and strong. Legs engaged, core engaged, shoulders are back. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, sit back, Utkatasana, fierce pose. So Utkatasana is a great place to demonstrate these principles of hugging in at the shins, broadening through the thighs, pulling in the belly. Arms are lifted, but notice my shoulders are not up by my ears, but rather engaged down on the back. Bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart. Everything's still hugging in towards the midline. And we'll gently take the right elbow towards the top of the left thigh, or if you're feeling twisty, maybe the outside of the thigh. Pressing the palms together, you'll pull the left shoulder back in a twist. Try to keep both knees pointing straight ahead. The shins in, thighs out idea can help with that. Gently unwind through center over to the other side. Left elbow comes to the right knee or thigh. Exhale to gently unwind. Reach your fingertips up. Chair pose once again. Great job. Really nice work. Keep breathing. Exhale, straighten the legs, hinge at the hips and fold all the way forward. Make your way back to plank, top of a push-up. Move your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out here, so alternate bending each knee, getting some movement in the hips. And then lower both knees down to the floor. Bring your big toes together, let your knees be wide. Move the hips back for a child's pose. And even here in child's pose, check it out. See if you can get a little bit of action going on here. So hugging in at the shins, broadening through the thighs, pulling in at the belly, and keeping the shoulders on the back as the fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. For some of you, you might notice a big difference in how your low back feels in this posture through this engagement. Inhale to come back up to all fours in a tabletop position, and then step your right foot forward to a low lunge. And this is a great opportunity to cushion the back knee if you need to. You can fold the mat or use a blanket. And we'll begin by standing up nice and tall on that back knee. And notice I've got a lot of right angles going on here. So my back foot's directly behind me, hip over the knee. Check it out. Cool. So stand up nice and tall, hug in at the shins, broaden at the thighs. Release your arms down by your sides. Inhale to reach the arms up, a little bit of a back bend. Come back to center, bring your hands to your hips. As you exhale, shift the weight in the hips forward. So here I'm creating this big angle on the left side, moving this front knee even beyond the ankle a little bit, but still hugging in at the shins, strong in the belly. On an inhale, come back up to center. And then we'll switch sides. So bring your fingertips to the floor. Right knee comes back, left foot comes forward. And adjust however you need to make this work for you on this side. Left foot is firmly planted on the floor, knee over ankle, nice right angles. And then make sure you're hugging in at the shins, staying strong in the belly and shoulders on the back. Inhale to reach the arms up, a little bit of a back bend, broaden through the chest, widen the arms as you look up. Come back to center. Hands come to the hips. As you exhale, shift the weight forward. See if you can get some opening through the right quad and hip flexor. Stay nice and hugged in through the shins. Keep the belly tight and shoulders relaxed. On an inhale, come back to center. And then bring your hands down to the floor, bringing the left knee back to meet the right. And we're going to align the hips over the knees and the shoulders over the wrists. And in this tabletop position, check in with all three of these parts of the body. So make sure that the legs are engaged. Get nice and strong in the belly and get the shoulders on the back. Keeping all that, on an inhale, float your right fingertips up towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, let it sweep down to the floor beneath you. Right arm and right side of the head relaxes on the mat. Hips are up, And we're in this twisting position for thread the needle. So we're trying to get some movement through the thoracic spine. Your left hand can do a few things. One option is to press the left hand into the floor to twist further. Another option is to reach your left fingertips up towards the top of your mat more. And a final option is to bring the left hand behind the low back. Whatever you're doing, make sure you can breathe easily and that it's a good idea for your body. Release your left hand back down to the floor if it's not there already. Press into the left hand. As you inhale, we'll sweep the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale to release. And we'll switch sides. So get nice and solid in your tabletop. Find all those engagement points once again. Inhale to float the left arm up. Exhale and sweep it underneath the right, bringing the left arm all the way down to the floor. And again, you have the multiple options with the hand. So the right hand can press into the mat to help you twist further. You can reach the right fingertips up towards the top of the mat. Or you can bring the right arm behind you. And who knows? If you're feeling twisty or if your right arm is long enough, you might even be able to make a connection with your right hand and your left thigh. Bring the right hand back down to the mat if it's not there already. Press into the right hand. Inhale to sweep the left arm up. And exhale to release it back down again. Just give your body a moment to let all the sensations integrate into the body. And then gently scoot around so that you're coming to a seat on the mat. All right. And once again, we'll find Dandasana. Maybe your legs are able to be a little bit straighter than they were in the beginning of class. Your arms are on either side of the hips. You're sitting up nice and tall, shins in, thighs out, core nice and strong. Shoulders are on the back. Nice. Inhale to reach the arms up. Your feet are flexed and engaged. Lots of engagement in the hands. Exhale, lead with the chest as you hinge forward. Think about keeping those shoulders relaxed down on your back. But remember, I always say relaxed down on your back, not pinching down on your back. So if you're making this great effort to make the shoulders descend, see if you can find something in between effort and ease. On an inhale, reach through your fingertips and come on up. And exhale to release. Bend your knees and bring your feet up towards the very top of the mat. One more time. Feel your feet pressing into the floor. Hug in at the shins and broaden in the thighs. Get nice and strong in the belly. Shoulders are on the back. Extend your arms out. And as you exhale, lower yourself down to the floor. And you can go as quickly or as slowly as you would like. See if you can keep the soles of your feet connected to the mat as you do this. And then once you're laying down, you can relax your arms down by your sides. Walk your feet in towards your body so the knees are bent and the soles of the feet are flat on the floor. And then just do a little bit of wiggling to find some nice alignment through the spine. So feel your low back pressed into the floor. Let the shoulders be relaxed down. Nice. All right. Feel your feet pressing into the mat. Once again, shins in, thighs out as we prepare for a bridge pose. So get really solid through the legs here. Knees stay pointed skyward. Get strong in the belly. So low belly tucks in, ribs tuck in. Shoulders are relaxed down on the back. Press into the feet, keeping all of this. See if you can lift the hips up. And if, as you get your hips lifted, you're feeling like, ooh, darn it, I'm starting to lose the engagement in my legs or in the core, do your best to recapture it. On an exhale, gently start to lower each vertebra back down to the mat. And once your hips connect to the floor, bring your knees in towards your chest and gently rock from side to side. come to stillness with the legs. And release your feet down to the mat. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees be wide. Release your arms down by your sides for Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined angle pose. And usually when we take this posture, it's really passive, but let's see if we can get a little bit of engagement here. Maybe you'll find it to be more comfortable in a new way. So think about pressing the soles of your feet together, hugging the shins in towards the body as you widen the hips out to the sides. Pull in your lower abdominals and tuck the ribs. And then make sure your shoulders are down on your back. A couple of full breaths here. Once again, gently bring the knees together and hug them in towards your chest. And then just gently rock from side to side. And we're just trying to get some motion in the spine and some massage in the hips. Widen the knees and have your hands so that your peace fingers grab a hold of the big toe for happy baby pose. So knees are wide, knees are bent deeply, and gently rock from side to side. And if you want to try applying these ideas of engagement here, this is a great test since you're upside down, but hugging in at the shins, widening at the thighs, maybe you'll notice, oh, that feels a little bit better in my shoulders. Or maybe you find the opposite. And if you do, then now you know to not do that. All right, come back to stillness. And from here, we're going to move into Shavasana. So release the toes. Shavasana is our final resting posture. And you can take the prior posture that we did with the feet together and the knees wide if you like. Another option is to place the feet on the outer edges of the mat, letting the knees fall in on one another. And if you try this version of Shavasana, begin by hugging in at the shins and broadening through the thighs and finding all these points of engagement before you relax into it. And finally, a traditional Shavasana is the legs are extended straight on the mat. Feet are mat width apart and relaxed off to the sides. And you can start by hugging in at the shins and broadening through the thighs. Notice how that changes things for you. Core is nice and strong and shoulders are relaxed down on the back. So you should be in a very engaged Shavasana pose right now. And then just let go of the engagement and let yourself relax. Close your eyes. Feel the support of the floor beneath you. And at this point, there should be no more engagement in the body. So you're just relaxed from the toes all the way up through the crown of your head. And just let the effects of your practice settle in to your body and into your spirit tonight. Allow your breath to begin to deepen. And bring a little movement to your toes and fingers. On an inhale, reach your arms up overhead as you extend your legs out nice and long for one last distant stretch. Really reaching. Bring your knees in towards your chest as you roll onto your right side. And then using as little effort as possible, gently make your way up to a seat with your eyes closed. We're lining up the ears over the shoulders, over the hips. And one last time, find these engagement points through the legs, through the abdominals, and through the shoulders for an extra tall seat. So I hope that you can take these ideas with you off of the mat and into your world in all of the things that you do. Hugging in at the shins, broadening in the thighs, strong in the belly, shoulders on the back, but watch the ribs. All of these together can really create more strength and really protect you as you're doing all of these wonderful things. I'm so glad that you were here to practice together tonight. We'll close by chanting the sound of Om. And we're going to just chant it one time. Sit up nice and tall. Press the palms together. Again, everything is nice and engaged. Notice how that feels on the body. Take a full exhale. And a deep inhale for Om. The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you with great respect. Namaste. Really great job. Thank you so much for coming to class tonight. Remember, kindness matters in the mind and in the body. And now you have some new tools to take out into the world. So be good to you, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me.